Okay, hello seniors. Alright, so this is a sort of comparison between, and you're taking a look between what Macbeth says in Act 2 and what Macbeth says down here in Act 5, right? I want to go through this really quick because there's a major inference here. Now, I'm pointing this out, but again, it's a situation where as you go forward, as you read, you're constantly making inferences. And as you're making inferences, you're like, okay, oh, wow, this relates right back to what he says earlier. So you're constantly looking for those connections within the text. And those are called intertextual inferences, right? Intertextual connections. So this gives significance to that, and this gives significance back to what he says earlier. And together, it gives significance to this idea of the character arc, as well as the devil's trope. Okay, so I want to go through this really quick. Let me save. So let me save really quick. And okay, so really quickly, it says, how is it with me that every noise appalls me, right? So this idea that the noise is something that upsets him, right? How is it that every noise appalls me? And this is right after he kills King Duncan. Okay, so this is right after he kills King Duncan. So why is it that hearing every single noise right after he kills King Duncan upsets him? Right? And what does that have to do with the character arc? And also what does that have to do with, the witches and the devil's trope? Then he says, I've almost forgotten. So later in Act 5, he says, I've almost forgotten the taste of fears. They say of what fear feels like, but not even just what fear feels like the taste of fears. It's even a little bit more intense, like thinking about not to even for the fact that something like an emotional feeling, but it's a sense, right? And then he says, what the time has been my senses, because this is one of the reasons why I like this is a little bit more intense than what this thing feels like. There's a time when my senses would have cooled to hear the night streak. And when I think of senses, I think all of his senses, his sense of smell, his sense of taste, his sense of touch, his sense of sight, his sense of hearing. It would have been a massive chill throughout his body, right? They say there was a time when I had been terrified by shrieking at night. But he says, with cooled to hear a night shriek. It's just this idea that anything, right, would have appalled him. Every noise. And my fell of hair, right? So he says, my fell of hair would at the dismal treaties rouse and stir as life were in it. He says that they say the hair on my skin just stood up. Oh, when I heard a ghost story, it's not really, would rouse and stir as life were in it. Would a dismal treaties rouse and stir. So in other words, like anything that would have given him that sense, because you have that sense that something is wrong, right? The dismal treaties. And then for some reason, like your senses try to like come alive, right? As life were in it, right? Because it's that animal instinct, that sense of danger. But then he says, I have supped full with horrors. So they say, but now I have filled with real horrors. But not even filled, right? It's supped. Like he's delighted. And when we think of supped, you mean to think about like eating, right? He's delighted himself. He's consumed horrors. He was the horrible thing. And this goes to this idea of agency. Direness familiar with my slaughterous thoughts. Right? They say, but now I have felt horrible things are so familiar that they can't startle me. Direness familiar with my slaughterous thoughts cannot one start me. Right? So he's making a comparison here, basically. He's saying, I have done so many horrible things, right? Nothing scares me, right? No, in a sense, he's saying, since I am the terrible thing, right? You know, nothing else. Yeah, and it's like another thing of the thing is he's the biggest monster in the woods. So since he's the most horrible thing in the woods, you know, nothing else, you know, horrifies him. You know, minor beasts are not horrified by the king of beasts. And this is very important for what we're going to be reading next. So, what does this say? What does this inference here say about his character arc? And then you're going to answer that. And then the fourth thing is, you know, what does this mean in terms of the reason why the witches haven't, you know, like there's a reason why they chose him. What's the reason why they're even doing this, right? And then how does this manipulation illustrate Macbeth's trope, or the devil's trope? Okay. All right. So hopefully you guys are happy and healthy. I wanted to make this a really quick one, and take care.